Welcome to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we're going to be covering more of the details that came in with the patch notes for Season 15, as well as the emergency maintenances that they had that gave us more patch notes to go over. I'm going to let you know about all the things that they are working on fixing, some of the main issues that they are still having, and effectively just scrub the forums for all the information and news that you might want to know about as you go into Season 15. I've got my cat Cora here, and we're ready to go. But before I get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to show their support for this content and help me with the bills. They're the ones that help produce this podcast. And if it wasn't for them, it'd be a lot more strain on my life. So I always appreciate them for everything that they offer and everything that they do, especially the Gold Hoarder episodes where I get to actually sit down and talk with them. All are welcome in the Captain tier. You're more than, well, actually, I guess it's technically the Gold Hoarder tier. I call it the Captain tier, but you're always more than welcome to jump in and join us. And as always, I want to thank everyone that is on the list, whether you're a Gold Hoarder or not. I just appreciate the fact that you're with us. So thank you to A-Chick, Toasties, or Toast, L-Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chunky, Captain Longsharts, Chopper 918. Welcome, Chopper. You're the first new one in a while. Happy to have you on. Chateau Noof, one of the original ones. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, who just posted some photos on some of the new Warhammer stuff that he was painting recently. Carl Embo, Kylea the Aficionado, Mr. Blizzard, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Ors, Xbox Mike 29, Mutinist Max, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Shoe Daddy 13, Tommy D, TN Professor, Vibrolux, Wailing Witch, Big Bad Pad, who just recently celebrated their birthday. Happy birthday, Patty. Mina Fairy, the lore chronologist, Deadeye Dre, who's honestly the lore aficionado there for sure. Hager Owl, Jeff H, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore the Insipid Ghost, and of course, Zam Wow. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having fun in Destiny, buddy. And with that, let's get into it. First on today's docket, let's talk about the patch notes that came in with the start of Season 15. Really love that they have brought in the Megalodons. We've seen some really fantastic clips out there. Some people are doing some fun things with Sea of Science just to kind of show like how powerful a Meg is. Lots of fun stuff to kind of like take a look and find out in the world now, but a lot of that is going to be subject to issues in the game. It happens from time to time, but that's why I like these patch notes, because I can go in, take a look and see what's going on, see what they're addressing, and let people know like, hey, by the way, if you're going out sailing, just be aware that this is what's going to happen. So first and foremost, I wanted to reach back into the patch notes for when the season first started and kind of let you know about some of the updates that they've had, some of the fixed issues, and kind of let you know about some of that stuff. Because last episode, we got to talk a little bit about kind of the features that came in with the game. So if you're curious about what the main things were, that was one of the things that you'd want to go for that episode, that Gold Hoarder episode that we had last week. Outside of that, I wanted to talk about some of the changes that they've made to the game based on the patch notes beyond just like the obvious, right? So the first update that I wanted to talk about was the detection improvements for ban evasion. The Rare goes in to say, further detection improvements continue to roll out behind the scenes, targeting players who evade game bans to regain access to Sea of Thieves. These improvements will continue to be deployed in phases over the coming months to systematically crack down on banned players and prevent them from returning to the seas. Love to hear it. Love to know that that's something that they're continuing to work on. It feels like every night that I go out, there's a pretty good opportunity that I'm going to run into some pretty suspicious behavior. Next, Quest table voyage cooldowns. Following the introduction of the quest table and the refreshed voyages delivered in Season 11, players have discovered techniques to increase their progression and gold acquisition in unintended ways, and accelerated ways at that. The Sea of Thieves team has now has the ability to apply cooldowns to specific voyages should crews start and cancel the same voyage repeatedly in a short space of time. While no voyage restrictions have yet been placed as a part of this update, the team will continue to monitor player behavior and target specific voyages as part of future updates. Next, temporary voyage locking. The Sea of Thieves live team now has the ability to temporarily lock a voyage and prevent it from being started on the quest table. This allows the team to react quickly and protect players in live environments should a high impact issue occur, without the need to take the game down for maintenance. This one is an interesting one because I think similar to the way that they do the maintenances. The maintenance typically has like a 15-minute timer, counts down at about 1:45 a.m. Pacific time. So usually when the servers go off at 2 a.m., you got a bit of a heads up. You know, you can kind of plan for that. If they do a temporary locking voyage, I would like to have communication on that for people that aren't paying attention to the social media and just want to go in to sail on their voyage and actually have no idea that for whatever reason, this is one that's actually going to be locked down. So some sort of like notification pop up on the beginning of the game before you get into a session, give people time to recognize that that's an issue. So if they want to choose to do something else, they can, even if it's another game. Likewise, I would like to see something in game for folks who are trying to sail around and they decide to go and choose whatever locked voyage happens to be the one that they want to do next. Any kind of indication about why it's locked, so people aren't sitting there wondering what's going on, why can't I do this, and try to like assume that it's a bug or something going on that they're not sure really what's going on. Communication would help greatly for that situation. Next, let's get into the fixed issues. As always, when they say these are fixed, I always say that this is something that they expect to be fixed. So if you're running into situations where these aren't fixed, please make sure that you are letting the team know as best you can if you have the time. So according to the Rare team, the gameplay issues that are currently fixed are when players dive to a faction battle, the enemy ship will now consistently appear visible upon surfacing to begin the encounter. That's a pretty good one right there. The invisible ships was not very cool. That was a lot of people thinking people were hacking on that one. Players using a grapple gun to pull another player while in the water can no longer cause their target to rotate. Really odd one on that one. We've also seen some pretty interesting ones where people that are like grappling to something, they end up in the middle of nowhere between a couple of rocks. That's a strange one. So I'm not sure what bug that is, but there's a weird, like the game trying to place you somewhere and it can't. So it resorts to this random location in the world somewhere between two rocks. It's scary and frightening and unclear what's going on with that one. But grapple gunners, beware. I've subscribed to the grapple gun almost 90% of the time at this point. It is far easier to traverse the world using a grapple gun now. And they've really kind of made that weapon actually, or I say weapon, it's not really a weapon. It's more a tool, which, you know, I get it. It's about balance. Let's see. The audio effect for scooping and throwing water when bailing should now play consistently when performed in quick succession. Cool. The audio effect for a ship filling and creaking when taking on water are now prioritized over other effects, ensuring that these cues are always clear to players. Very important there. Really appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I hear the creaking a lot sooner than it really is like the frightening creaking. So when I hear the water creaking, I go down and it's like 2 buckets full. I'm like, okay, I could have waited. Damage markers now, or no, sorry. Yeah. Damage markers. Yeah, damage markers shown. I was trying to think of like, what are damage markers? My brain was not registering what those words meant. Damage markers shown on the outside of a ship's hull will now appear correctly based on the damage dealt. Throwables such as blunderbombs targeting the rear hull of the galleon will now consistently impact the hull surface and not pass through certain areas to land inside the ship. What a weird one that is. Shooting the to be fair, blunderbombs in the cannon against other ships is a fantastic way to prevent them from being able to like either get away or to knock them if you're unable to what's it called, if you're unable to get away from their broadside. Blunderbombs are a fantastic tool there. The number of times I can think of the opportunities where had I had like, you know, the 5 head brain move, you know, the 4D chess to be able to accomplish this, I would have absolutely used a blunderbomb to knock a ship out of its angle so that I could have gotten a better gauge on the fight and adjusted and given myself an opportunity to get some bales or something. You know, great thing to know, especially with galleon fights. Blowpipe darts embedded in moving ships are now more easily targeted and can be consistently destroyed through player actions. I didn't realize this was high on the priority list of issues. Though I imagine it probably wasn't. It was probably like, okay, well, this is an easy fix, so we'll add this in. We'll toss it in because it's not going to take that much time to fix. The prior fix to the armory that addressed, and this is from 3.2.3. I actually kind of wonder what was this fix to begin with. So we're actually gonna head all the way back to 3.2.3, and I'm gonna see if I can figure out what that actual armory issue was. Let's see. This is text localization. Further improvements can be made. Ponytail hair. It was an issue back then, apparently. So that was, you know, that's something that people were concerned with, that they had to work on it. Armory. Why am I not seeing anything about armory? Control F is a great way to. Let's see. Players will now remain able to switch weapons after being knocked back while interacting with the armory. Okay, so that's what that was about. So the prior fix to the armory, which is when players couldn't switch weapons after they had been knocked back from accessing the armory, thing that addressed players. Oh, oh my gosh. See, this is the great thing about doing podcasting when you're reading patch notes live and you haven't like scrubbed through them all. The patch notes tend to answer the question that you had just spent half a minute on. So this seems to be something that is caused issues somewhere else. It has been reverted to the previous further impact. The issue will be addressed in a future patch. So basically, for whatever reason, the issue didn't get fixed. It was causing issues elsewhere, so they decided to revert it, and they'll work on it in the future. Any open radio menu now closing when crouching, preventing a range of visual issues caused by attempting to wield items while crouched. Just a heads up there. The Journey to Melee Island, which I believe is the first Monkey Island Tall Tale. Emissary grade progression is no longer awarded when collecting items found within the Tall Tale. That seems kind of dirty, doesn't it? I don't know about that. All right, so performance and stability. This is always an interesting one, but it doesn't look like it's going to really impact most players. It's going to be affecting the smallest percentage of players at the moment. Players on PS5 using crossplay should no longer experience the game instability when communicating with each other using voice comm across platforms. Players on PlayStation 5 who are members of a Distinction 10 guild will no longer experience game instability when navigating the front end menu. Very surprising that that was something that they had to deal with. So kudos out there for guilds that still have actually made it up to Distinction 10. I know the Keelhauled captains are doing a great job working on ours. I think we're still in 3 at the moment. I think we're in 3. The one thing that I can't remember if we talked about this last episode, but one thing that I've always wanted to champion and make sure that is something that gets communicated across to folks is accessibility. I love all the folks that are able to play Sea of Thieves as a result of the accessibility features that are brought into the game, because 90% of the time those are actually going to benefit me as well. Reduce to hold, the aim sound effect that they have, the little clinks on the wheel when you turn it. Plenty of things like that always make me much happier. And there's definitely been times where some people will probably get a real kick out of this because they either have dyslexia, or they have bad vision, or they've had too much to drink from the grog barrel. You never know the reasons why, but they are coming in with a custom text overlay. A new accessibility feature has been introduced to improve the readability of riddle maps. Within the language settings of the game menu, I appreciate them telling me where, players can now enable a custom text overlay and further customize the appearance, adjusting the screen position, font size, background, and text colors, because they always spell colors with a U as well. After preferences have been saved, the overlay will be applied when viewing any riddle map, with a scroll bar available for longer text. I really love that they're doing this. I think it's a great way for the accessibility team to continue poking and prodding at the game for little issues that may be something that prevents or hinders the gameplay for people for whatever reason who just have problems with that kind of stuff. So I always appreciate these little things. It's been a while since I think we've really had like an accessibility improvement. This feels like a good way for folks, especially folks that have like what is it called? The on-screen readers. I can't remember if there's a specific name for them, but having those with dialogue definitely makes it easier. Even just like having that is something that you don't want to have to sit there and try and read through the script. As much as I love the font that they use for Sea of Thieves, it is a real hoop-de-doo sometimes when you're trying to read something and you're just like, I can't be bothered with this. I can't tell if that's an F or an L or a J or whatever. It's a thing. It's a mark on the map, and I'm going to use contextual awareness to be able to tell what the rest of it is. Okay. I think that does it as far as updates go. So that was updates for the first patch for Sea of Thieves when we first got season 15. I think I've talked a little bit about the Pirate Emporium set when we first saw the little kind of like, this is what's coming to Sea of Thieves, and we got the Rococo set for the ships as well as the costume and weapon bundle. Thoughts on that? Again, they released a video recently that actually kind of showed off the Rococo set, and it was very proper, very fun, and they did a really good job with it. And I think honestly, like if you're going to try and sell people on what's it called, Emporium content, building a story up around it, even if it's something as simple as like a 30-second story for an advertisement for something like that, much better to kind of showcase the cosplay aspect or the I'm trying to think of what the name of it is, but the immersive nature. When you're role playing, that's it. When you want to role play with some of the costumes in the Emporium, much better to do that from the studio to kind of showcase like, hey, if you wanted to go and, you know, be like a very proper English, like royal person or like a high in status person from England or something, or France, you know, back in this time frame, like this would be a good costume set for you to do it. I will wait until I find colors that are, I don't know, maybe more approachable for me. The colors that they picked, honestly, just that they're not something I'm really into. Genuinely would love to see like some variants on this before I start dropping any kind of ancient coin on these. But again, I will happily buy the pet pigs. Kind of surprised, actually. I believe it was Caleb in the Discord called out that in the trailers for the game that they've been promoting the pigs with, some of the pigs have actually been wearing costumes, and I hadn't noticed this. And it's one of those situations where I was like, that's interesting. I was kind of expecting them to have costumes for the pigs, but they don't. So I think this may be something that they are actually trying to release content a little bit slower. And this may be something that actually comes in with the mid-month update that they typically do. in March. The 7th anniversary of the game is coming up here on March 20th. So there's a lot that they can do. I do suspect, let's see, taking a look at the 20th, that is a Thursday, which means that for all intents and purposes, there will probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they delay the mid-month update so that it does come out on the anniversary of Sea of Thieves, that they have like a daily stream to celebrate the anniversary, and they do Twitch drops as well as like a Golden Glory or a community weekend for that weekend. So like the 20th through the 24th, having like that whole time frame, or maybe even the 25th, just giving like a full 5 days of community celebration for the 7th anniversary. Those are all kind of things that I'm like, you know, trying to plan ahead and kind of see. So hopefully like pig costumes get involved with that as well too, but it remains to be seen. You never know how these things kind of turn out. Next on today's docket, let's talk about the release notes for the emergency updates that they had that came out. These are something that we've actually kind of seen coming over from Drew over on X or Twitter. It's nice that he's being so communicative with the community as well. That kind of information is always nice to kind of see, because it's not always something where people are constantly checking the forums to see like, is this information being sent there? Because most of the time it is, but no one ever thinks to, you know, go troll the forums for this kind of stuff. So patch notes, as a result of a couple fixes, they did have some issues that they were running into, and we'll get into like the reasons why here in a second. So the Hunter's Call trading company was the main thing for this update. They said, following a review, the team has identified that the reputation required for each rank was set higher than intended, slowing progress through the Hunter's Call at higher ranks. The requirements for each rank have been corrected, and players will now progress at the intended pace. This is contrary to what happened with the Reaper's Bones, when the Reaper's Bones were put on the emissary list, and it was the first time that anyone had ever really worked on rank for them from, gosh, what was it, 50 to 75, I think, originally. And everyone burned through the levels, and then they got up to 75, and then it was like, okay, well, nothing to do there. So it was nice to know that they are paying attention to that kind of stuff. I don't know that many people were really talking about this, so I know a lot of people probably felt that it was going a little bit slower, but it's nice to see that they are clearly paying attention to this kind of stuff. So they said, due to this change, players who have made progress since Season 15's launch may find they move up to the next Hunter's Call rank upon starting their next session. We will continue to monitor player progress and make sure that further adjustments are done if required. Crews cashing in their Hunter's Halls to the Hunter's Call representatives at outposts and sea posts will now find they provide the same payout as the sovereigns, ensuring that captains can use these conveniently located services. I'm actually not a fan of this one. I'm actually kind of bummed that they did this. I mean, I'm already kind of like weirded out by the fact that there's like mimic darted Reapers hanging out on outposts as the Hunter's Call representatives. But to be perfectly honest, the fact that Hunter's Call was paying out like a little bit more for the golden reputation for turning in with them, kind of felt like that was like coincided with, you know, what their jam was when the sovereigns came out. And a lot of people were kind of like, okay, well, you know, we'll sell everything to the sovereigns except for the Hunter's Call stuff, because we want to rank that up faster. So we'll go to the actual Hunter's Call. The problem that I run into this is that it kind of, I don't know, it makes me feel like, and this is obviously this is unfounded because we haven't seen what's actually happened with the player base. We don't actually know how this is going to play out, but I did like the fact that sea posts felt like they were of more importance because of this. And first off, I'm already kind of bummed that the sea posts didn't get a makeover with the Hunter's Call introduction for the emissary. Like, they got a table and that's it. They didn't like gussy up the area. They didn't like turn into themed sea posts, you know, based on the personalities of the people on there. You know, we didn't see anything unique to try and like call them out. They're still just the same boring sea posts that they were when they came out, when Hunter's Call was introduced 5 years ago. So kind of bummed about that. But with the fact that a lot of people are still working on Hunter's Call, at least the fact that there are representatives out on sea posts that you could turn stuff to or turn stuff into them does kind of offer like that. Hey, you know, it's a little bit easier to sell stuff for the Hunter's Call thing. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to an outpost. And there are a lot of like places that you can actually go turn that in. So I'm a fan of that aspect of it, because it does kind of like put a little emphasis on the sea posts. It's not enough that the NPCs out there carry stock from the outpost that is sold at a discounted rate. But then again, every time I've gone out there to buy something, it's always been something I've already owned. So I don't know if they're cycling the new stuff, or if I've just bought it all and can't remember like what's fresh or what's new to the outpost NPCs as far as the different shops and stuff. So I don't know if like the new loot is actually being involved with the sea post loot from the trade company representatives out there, or not the trade company, the outpost representatives out there. But yeah, so you know, for all intents and purposes, captains on your ships, feel free to start using the sovereigns for everything. They will now pay out the same reputation and gold as the Hunter's Call representatives and outposts, which means it's back to the normal rate which the sovereigns were offering in the first place. The Hunter's Call representatives just aren't providing an increase to that kind of stuff. All right. I can make the joke that it feels like forever ago that we talked about the quest table voyage cooldown temporarily being disabled, because that was something we just covered. So the voyage cooldowns defined below have been temporarily disabled to protect game stability. I appreciate when they do stuff like this. These restrictions will make their return in a future update. Good. Totally fine with this. If it's something that's not absolutely necessary and it's going to cause issues with the game, lock it down, cut it out, do what you got to do to make sure that the game stays stable. That is like first and foremost paramount with the game. Crews who start and cancel the same voyage repeatedly in a short space of time will now find that the voyage is placed on cooldown and cannot be voted on for a short duration. The following voyages have had this initial cooldown applied: Medley of the Gold Hoarders, which is the one that has like all of the Gold Hoarder types. Executives Lost Shipment, Ashen Executives Lost Shipment, Ashen Captain's Treasure Vaults, Bounty for a Skeleton Lord, Legendary Search for Cursed Treasure. So most of these are honestly going to be fairly safe as far as like things that you want to do on a regular basis, especially for folks that like to dive to multiple servers to try and find stuff. Much easier to do when you actually go and like finish up the voyage. But I feel like a lot of these are one of those things where people are trying to force spawns for specific things, and they're doing like for example, the Medley of Gold Hoarders. That's going to force you to spawn a lot of specific stuff at certain islands, and it's easy to sit on one island in the Shores of Plenty and spam the Medley of Gold Hoarders till you get that island to show treasure, and then you dig up the treasure, you cancel, you throw back another one down. I don't know if that's what they're doing. That's what I am imagining they're doing, which kind of goes against the point of having the Medley of Gold Hoarders, right? The recently introduced Pirates Fishing Map and the Hunters Fishing Map for the Hunter's Call have also had a cooldown applied to prevent crews from forcing the island location and gaining reputation at an accelerated rate. Kind of coincides with what my thoughts on why people were using these larger voyages to force specific locations for treasure locations, and then just camping out on that island. So all intents purposes, people will find ways to try and work through the game and progress as fast as possible. And as a result, that is going to cause folks to min-max. I see it all the time with Diablo 4 when you're trying to like do a specific rep grind, or you're specifically trying to find like a specific, I keep saying specific. You're trying to find a certain shrine that has like a percentage chance to spawn in dungeons. So what do? You figure out what the shortest dungeon is, and you just continue resetting and going to that dungeon to try and spawn that specific, see, I did it again, shrine to get the completions. Like, people will always try and figure out like the min max on this stuff. Like, they always will. There's an optimum route for everything in games, and people will consistently try to find that optimal route to get what they want to get done in an expedient amount of time. If you don't believe me, go look up speed running. So with Sea of Thieves, they'd rather people just play the game naturally and do stuff on their own. So they're trying to avoid having something like this be the main way that people go about it. And as such, they are adjusting the game to try and implement a play style that's a little more natural, as opposed to, hey, let's throw down a voyage and cancel it a bunch of times because we're totally fine sitting here just spamming the same island and mind-numbingly grind away at doing whatever it is they're doing to get this hunter's call finished up for whatever reason. The rings honestly aren't that great, so I don't know why anyone's rushing for that, but you know, what do I know? Next, fixed issues, gameplay. Let's talk about gameplay fixed issues here. Again, as always, if this is something that is not working properly, say like crates for when you buy merchant crates, they are still getting bugged out. And if they do get bugged out, you have to go buy like a captain's trinket or something, or, you know, captain supplies to be able to like unlock it. That is still like a massive issue. So is the black screens. Black screens have been acknowledged by the team, but are not currently being worked on, which feels really weird. It feels like that should be like a higher priority than some of the other stuff that they're doing. Could just be an issue that it's a complexity issue, but honestly, like, I feel like that needs to get addressed sooner rather than later. But talking about fixed gameplay issues, if you run into these, be sure to let people know. Cora is going nuts right now. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's yowling out in the hallway because she's bored, and I'm making a podcast right now and she's not respecting my time after I gave her plenty of hours of loving while watching Waterworld after cooking dinner. So she's been pet, she's been cuddled, she's had plenty of attention today, even treats. I even gave her treats today, and I never give my cats treats on a regular basis. They got treats, and now she's like feeling entitled. But that's not going to fix issues in the game. What's fixing issues in the game is these patch notes, because they say they fix the issues in the game. I don't know if the patch notes actually do that. I'm pretty sure the developers have something to do with that. But one of the issues that they are fixing is players lobbing throwables above or below deck across the ship types should no longer find them exploding on contact with invisible surfaces. Yay. That was really weird. Completely made throwables unusable on boats. It was really bad. And then addressing the issue, the above issue, which is the throwing throwables, has meant that a previous fix to throwables interacting with the rear hull of the galleon has been reverted to prevent further impact. This issue will be addressed in a future update. I appreciate the transparency. It's wild that nobody threw a flippin' throwable below deck on a galleon during the time that they were working on this fix. Seriously? Like, you guys are that's one of those things that I'm glad that they announced that they are going to be hiring Sea of Thieves players who obviously they have to live in the UK based on like visas and stuff like that and work permits. But they're hiring people who are good at breaking the game to work for the studio so they can break the game, because it's wild to me to think that the fix that they put in for galleons having like invisible walls to make sure that the impact of the blunder bombs is registered is now causing people throwing blunder bombs below deck, or anything that's thrown below deck, to explode on contact with invisible surfaces. Like, nobody threw anything when they were testing this. They're not like thinking like, we fixed the blunder bomb, so they should hit the back of the galleon. Maybe we should go throw some bombs down there and see if anything weird happens after we made a big old change like that. No one did that. No one. It's so weird to me. It's just a weird, like, it's like, putting up a wall, like a wall in a game that says like, hey, we don't want the players to walk beyond this wall. So we're going to put an invisible wall. And then nobody runs up to the wall to test it. Like, it's like nobody jumps along the wall to see if there's any weird spots that got missed, because it's an invisible wall, and QA testers should be running up to every wall. They should be throwing throwables in and around the galleons all the time for this guy. So I don't know. I don't know how that all works. It's just logic dictates in my brain that somebody should have thrown a blunder bomb in or on a galleon after this patch got fixed. Fishing voyages. Time to talk about fishing voyages. Crews should no longer be able to catch more treasured fish than intended on a single voyage. So if you don't know, if you do like a regular fishing voyage, the standard one will spawn one pool. That one pool will give you 3 treasured fish. If you do the larger or the longer voyage, it will give you 2 spawning pools, or 2 swimming little whirlpools. And again, those will have 3 fish each. So all in all, like a standard voyage should only give you 3 to 6 when it comes to the treasured fish. I don't know how people were getting more than 2. Does not surprise me. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest that people were managing to get more than 2, but that's apparently been fixed. So if you're running into that issue or you see it happen, definitely feel free to report that as well. The Hunter's Call Trading Company. This is its own topic. Players will now find crates of rare fish scales when taking on raid voyages for the Hunter's Call. Players will now find that any treasured fish sold will be tracked correctly towards the Gold Seeker Pirate milestones. Players will now find that voyages completed for the Hunter's Call will be tracked correctly towards the Voyager Pirate milestone. The irony here to me is that these haven't been tracking properly in the milestones, yet Megalodons have been, but not towards the commendations. That is still a thing that they are still working on, by the way. The 2 new ancient Megs, unless you get the last hit, the killing blow, the coup de grace, if you will, on said Megalodon, you will not get commendation credit for that Megalodon at the moment. It will only give you the milestone for that, and you will have to go and kill another one and actually be the person that kills it to get that credit. So they're still working on that though. So hopefully that fix comes in soon, because a lot of people are trying to get these done, and needs to get addressed in one way or the other. Either come out and say like, hey, this is how we want it. We've decided that we want it to be the final blow to cause people to be a little more aggressive, or not necessarily as trusting with other crews trying to kill the Megalodon. Or they're like, we're all here trying to kill it. It's hard. Better for us to work together. We all get credit, so there's no fear of people missing out, kind of thing. Like if they're working on, whatever, and they just happen to don't get the last kill because they were bucketing while the other crew had an opportunity because they weren't getting attacked to snipe out the Megalodon, things like that. Visual and audio issues. Players equipping the Hunter's Call Emissary costume will now find that any masks are hidden to prevent visual distortion of that pirate's face. I cannot imagine what the nightmare fuel must have been for folks that were doing this And I can only thank the Whale Lord for making sure that this was not something I ever had to experience. I'm usually not good with horror. I like watching ghost videos, but most certainly I would not want to see the weird, like, what's his name in Goonies? It's not Chunk. Chunk's the kid that does the dance. Sloth. I would hate to see the character Sloth as my pirate if that was not the intent. Also, can we opt for that? Like, can we get kind of Goonies on the Pirate Infinite Giant, the Infinite Pirate Generator, the IPG? Let's get some ugly going on. You know, I know you guys have already strayed away from the pretty. Like, like the amount of time and rerolls you have to do to get a pretty pirate in Sea of Thieves. It's almost not a concept. It's just beyond the realm of comprehension for the developers over at Rare, that they look at that and they're like, yeah, no, pirates shouldn't be pretty ever. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get that, but still, like, you know, maybe like two. Could we get like a couple pretty pirates? Could we choose those? Could those be like an accessibility option? You know, my mental health for the sake of having a pretty pirate. Just saying, like, it's an option. You know, you don't have to make it like everyone, but you know, like maybe like two pirates that looked pretty would be nice. You know, also pirates, if you feel like you have a pretty pirate. And I'm using pretty in a very loose term. Like, I get it. Like, we're all a little ugly. Like, and totally fine with that too. But if you feel like you got a pretty attractive pirate, I'm kind of curious. Like, how long did you spend? How many hours? How many days did you spend? How much money did you spend on the pirate appearance portion, which was again a really badly named acronym, the PAP. For the iPug, for the systems that they have in place for these rerolls. But what did I get? Oh, that's right. They were working on the the Hunter's Call costume was causing masks issues and stuff like that. Pirates of all body sizes should now find that the following scars display correctly when equipped. Flameheart's Revenge Scar, which is honestly more like two little like handprints on his cheek from when the Flame Lord, or from the Pirate Lord slapped him, the revenge scars that he got as a result of that. Fate of Fortune scar, which I'll never see. I'm never gonna be able to see that one. That's just beyond my reach. And then the Shadow Tide scar, which I think is actually last season's cosmetic from the Plunder Pass, but I'd have to double check on that. Anyway, I always love this one. Performance and stability. Further improvements have been made to the game stability to reduce scenarios where players unexpectedly exit the game or become disconnected from their session. Boy, I wish I could believe that. I think I just saw Captain Balzania on X asking if there was a difference between the Steam client and the Microsoft client because of the crashes. And as someone who plays on Steam, my Steam client, because for whatever reason a while ago, it was running better than the Microsoft client. But still running into a lot of crashes on the Steam issue there. It's kind of a weird one to be running into. Some things that they do know about, this is a weird acknowledged bug that they're familiar with. And shout out to Ocelot for putting this one up there. After selecting your pet pig from the I hate the alliteration sometimes. After selecting your pet pig from the pet chest, which honestly, like, you could have just said, after getting your pig from the chest, unlike other pets from the chest, currently your pet pig will spawn on the ground, making it difficult to locate your companion. As a workaround, please reselect the same pig, as if you rich people out there didn't have more than one pig. Jealous. from the chest, and it will be placed in your arms as normal. I cannot for the life of me imagine why this is an issue. Like, I get that it's an issue. I would love to hear the reasons why folks feel like it is an issue. I get that they say it is, but at no point when I was playing this game did I open up the pet chest, select Meyer, and not see like him standing there just waiting to be made into bacon, thinking like, boy, I got the best life ever. My dad has summoned me from the chest. I get to walk around for a finite amount of time before I become a pork chop. This is the life. This is fantastic. Cannot wait to express myself in some sort of hellish scream once I am thrown on the stove and turned into pork chops. So I'm totally fine if they don't care about this at all. It's a minor issue at best. I would much rather they actually go take a look at the black screen issues that have been causing trouble there. The one thing actually, oh no, this is back from October 17th. I don't want to read this. Anyway, there's issues that they had back in October with the Steam version. I thought it might be something that was a little more relevant to current issues that they're having. Let's see. Resolved Steam Deck. This is from February 20th, 2025. A black screen appears when launching Sea of Thieves, which then leads to an Ashbeard error. Players who launch Sea of Thieves on Steam Deck via Steam or desktop mode can be presented with a blank screen. This screen will then disappear and an Ashbeard error will occur. The blank screen is an Xbox sign-in screen. However, players are unable to interact with it. The team are aware of the issue and are investigating. There was an update to this. No date given on the update, but the issue no longer seems to be occurring. So there's definitely, I mean, if this is something like, if you guys start noticing like you're having issues, definitely feel free to let me know. I kind of mentally keep track of some of these. And they had a known issues section in the forum, which is surprisingly lackluster. One of the known issues is that message boards are completely pointless, and that is not listed on here at all. There's also no indication here at any point that they are aware that ancient skeletons are not spawning for me every time I set foot on an island. I feel like that's a known issue that should have been added to this list. So there's I'll keep an eye on this. There's clearly, again, I did Control F find, fantastic tool. No mention of crystal pigs spawning the way they should be on islands. Very easy for them to remedy that. I just don't quite understand why certain known issues are not listed on this. It seems like they're doing a pretty good job of updating it for superfluous stuff, like who cares where the pig spawns after you get it out of the chest. But they obviously, there's hard to do ones, and then there's low hanging fruit. Clearly they're with the low hanging fruit and not addressing like the fact that crystal pig spawns are way too low and need to be bumped up quite a bit, honestly, quite a bit, because you can't find them anyway. I have yet to find one. So things like that. Can't wait to see. I'll definitely check back in and see what other issues they may be having here. And as we are kind of like rounding out the patch notes, and honestly, like for all intents and purposes, for the sake of like what's going on with Sea of Thieves and the patch notes and stuff like that, I'm going to do a quick little dive here. I want to just search for Sonic Bob's Drew Stevens Twitter account, and just kind of like take a look and make sure that there aren't any interesting issues that we need to know about this. I talked about last week that the loot inside fort vaults is been obscured, and I believe this to be because they are going to eventually move the Fort of Fortune chest so that it spawns randomly at any of the forts, or any of the world events. So you have a percentage chance to get it Let's see. February 25th, we are aware of the exploits currently being used by some players to advance their Hunter's Call reputation at an unfairly accelerated rate. Please be assured that we are working on resolutions for this to be implemented soon, which will impact players exhibiting this behavior. Love to see Drew just doing like an evil laugh gif to that, because he's very much happy to ruin anyone who is exploiting. He's happy to ruin their day. Let's see. So on the 27th, he talked about the hot fix addressing the slow Hunter's Call progression, crackdowns on some exploits, and provides a number of fixes to the experience. They linked it to the show notes that we covered in the episode already. He says, I've made a correction here following our maintenance checks. One will be investigating players having made significant progress since launch will find that they are only boosted to the next rank, not what their true rank should have been. Apologies for the miscommunication. And then he says, what a day to address signs of game instability. The recent voyage cooldowns have been temporarily disabled. All other fixes still stand, and we'll continue to monitor excessive voyage canceling for progression rollback. So stay safe. And really, when he says so stay safe, so stay safe, what he's really saying is don't do this, because your boy's coming for you. That's really what it means. Like, I shouldn't have to read between the lines for a lot of this, but I'm doing it for the sake of the folks in the back that may have not quite been paying attention. I don't know what you're doing at work. I mean, I think you're working, but I don't think that you're working. I see what you're wanting to do, and you haven't, like, your coworkers haven't checked on you, so you're fine. Like, it's totally fine. Like they're and honestly, like, you probably need to make a stop, pull over, throw the trash away anyway. Like, stop just putting it in the bag and leaving it on the floor in the passenger seat because you ride alone. Like, it's fine. Like, I get why you're doing it, but you really should, like, take a moment, clean out your truck, make sure that you're not doing anything. And honestly, like, for those of you who are at home with a keyboard, when was the last time you shook that thing out? Like, what's in that keyboard? Because I know it's not just keys. Like, it's there's stuff in there, like, you got to have a toothbrush, like just a little toothbrush, old, you don't need it, or just like one from the dentist that you don't use because it's realistically, like, it's good enough, but marketing and campaigns from like toothbrush manufacturers have all convinced us that we need 13 different angled bristles made out of different materials to be able to properly clean our teeth. Whereas the dentists are just like, no, just use this and think about how you're using it. It's perfectly fine with just a little bunch of bristles. Have one of those and actually, like, clean out your keyboard, because I can already feel like there's a little bit of stuff in there that has not been addressed, because genuinely, when you log off of work, you're like, I am not touching my work computer. You're putting that keyboard away. You're pulling your beautiful little RGB keyboard out and your nice little mouse, and you're sitting down to jump on some games on your nice fast computer. I get it. I totally understand. We all do it. I'm not saying that it's not good for you to ignore. I'm just saying I agree that it's something we all do. So maybe put a pause on checking the stocks. Just quickly, clean out your keyboard, clean out the trash of your truck. It helps with your mental health anyway. So good to know that we are getting a bunch of updates from Rare. I love the fact that everything we're seeing is all to try and address issues with the game that we are tired of. There are still quite a few big issues that I would prefer that we see kind of talked about. So I think they've done a really good job with talking about how they want to get the game more stable, how some of the things that they're going to be doing are going to be ways that they can test this out. They definitely need to try and make sure that the communication that they're doing is essential, like continued. Don't let this fall off. We appreciate it. It's very nice to have this kind of communication from the dev team. If there are things that we're running into, we are trying to report those So please try to speak to those as the things that are the biggest topics for the community, as opposed to where the pig shows up when you open up the pet chest, things like that. Yeah. With that, pirates, I think that may be it. Caleb shared some really interesting data on the different raid voyages for Hunter's Call based on his testing and what he'd done as far as the type of loot that you can get. For folks, he updated the list, and I've seen a couple things on what's it called? What's that site called? Where everyone, it's like the front homepage, Reddit. I've seen a couple like infographics so far, but according to Caleb, he did tell me that the best way to get the irresistible bait pack and shark's teeth is a sea fort. A skeleton camp is going to get you some hunter's spear tips and some wrecked kraken eyes. The sunken shrine is the best curious fish scales and precious pearls and elegant fishing float packs, which I had no idea. That's kind of wild to me. Sunken treasuries, which are kind of like the underwater forts. That's going to be the best place for hunting spears and kraken tentacles and finest fishing hook. So Ashen Lord's going to be the best place for the kraken eye. Skeleton forts are going to be the best place for a myriad of things, but shark's teeth, tentacles, fish hooks, and kraken eyes. Skeleton fleet has been broken up a little bit, but he did warn that the captain galleon on the skeleton fleet can get a little buggy and may not drop the loot that is the monstrous kraken eye. It may just be the default loot, so kind of be aware of that. Ghost fleets, each flagship will drop one of a total of 4 fish scales, one out of a total of 4 irresistible bait packs, and then the captain ship will drop tentacles, fishing hook packs, and monstrous kraken eyes. So hopefully that kind of helps. Hopefully you heard some of the stuff that you are needing. If not, just hit the back, skip back 30 seconds a couple times to get to the start of this and listen over it. Start taking some notes if you need to do that. Outside of that, emissaries restarted. So make sure you guys are jumping on your emissary grinds for Hunter's Call and for your guilds. Since it's the start of March, that will be ending at the end of March, and you can get your first little emissary stuff. I'm double checking to see if I happen to miss anything on Keelhauled. The Discord is a great place, by the way, for you to get like up-to-date news. When people are paying attention to this kind of stuff, they can actually like post about it, talk about it. The conversation's there. And a lot of people generally just trying to check and see with other folks, like, are you experiencing this? Godhammer found out that the ancient megs will spawn and don't require anyone on the server to be grade 5 with a Hunter's Call for you to be able to identify and find them. They are just out and about in the world. And I think I even saw on, I want to say online on social media, I saw they had said that it's on a 10-minute cooldown timer. So if you kill one, you get about 10 minutes to go turn in your loot, and then the next one will actually spawn. So happy to see that. Happy to get some of that science stuff out of the way as we continue to work on the Hunter's Call. So I think that's going to do it. Pirates, if you guys enjoyed this, feel free to let me know. Feel free to like, subscribe, to consider the Patreon, to consider talking to other people about this, to share it out there. I don't really care too much about like YouTube followers, things like that. But I think I've actually been doing pretty good on YouTube. I want to say that I actually have been getting closer and closer towards that 1,000. I think I'm up to 685 subscribers. So at this point, I'm either going to hit 1,000 videos or 1,000 subscribers. I'd prefer to be the subscribers, but As always, a lot of this is just podcast content. So I appreciate everyone that's been hanging out with me to actually like watch the streams that I've been doing over on YouTube and on Twitch. I just recently updated my stream stuff so that I actually have working stream stuff now. So like follows, subs, bits, all that stuff is all now like got alerts and whatnot like it used to. I'm feeling a lot more confident with my setup, and Cora has decided, hi Cora, that she is now got the zoomies. So I'm going to go have to address the psycho cat that is now running about the apartment and ensure that it A, doesn't hurt itself, and B, doesn't hurt anything else. So with that, pirates, if you guys want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do that. You can head over to Blue Sky and find me at, oh gosh, now I put myself in the position, CaptainLogun .bluesky.social over there. I'm still over on X. I don't like it, but I am. It's at capt_Logun. And Twitch is actually new. I changed it from capt_Logun to actually just CaptainLogun. So if you guys want to find me over on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/CaptainLogun, Logun. Really appreciate everyone that's come by, that's chatted, hung out with us. As always, I've been doing content for Xbox Expansion Pass as well with Luke Lord, the Insipid Ghost. I've got a preview going up for a game that I can't talk about until the embargo, which is tomorrow morning, or by the time you've probably heard about this, it's going up live over there. I've got another one coming this week, which will be for another game that I can't talk about till the embargo at the end of the week. But we're doing a lot of content over there. So if you're an Xbox fan or a PC fan in general, or just a game fan and want to check out other games that are coming out, we are putting up a lot of content both on hardware as well as games for folks that might be looking for something that, you know, they may not have been considering buying, but may as a result of the coverage that we do, or not as a result of the coverage we do. We want to make sure that people are making informed decisions. So with that, pirates, that's going to do it. So thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.